Well, we're back on the Delphi merry-go-round with Frances Gull, and we got Richard Allen's attorneys back, Baldwin and Rozzi, and everybody's back on the merry-go-round, except for, the whole reason we're on this merry-go-round, trying to find answers to the questions of who killed those two little girls. We're back to litigation land. Joining me to discuss, Eric Faddis, attorney. Eric, motions being filed this week again, now from Baldwin and Rozzi, again, asking for Frances Gull to either recuse herself or for her to be removed from the case. This has already been thrown out there before. The Supreme Court didn't seem to want to make any sort of ruling on it. Where does this go from here? Because isn't it Frances Gull now who actually can decide whether or not she's impartial or not?
Right, which is such a it just like strains the mind to think about how that judge should be allowed to determine if they in fact are being impartial and neutral to a defendant in the face of allegations that they aren't. I hate when this type of motion comes up and the trial judge gets to get up there and say, "Oh no, I'm neutral. Don't worry about it." I think that really uh, breeds a distrust in the system because any person with common sense is going to be like, no, no, you shouldn't decide whether you have bias. An objective third party should decide whether you have bias. But that's not what's going to happen with these motions for Judge Gall to recuse.
You got that, and obviously she's not going to go up there and say that I'm not going to be impartial. So I mean, she has an out, which I don't know why she doesn't at this point just want to take and save a little face, unless somehow she thinks this image of her is going to be helpful, which maybe it is. I don't know the answer to that. I don't see a world where that is, but none of this seems to have made a whole lot of sense to begin with. The prosecutor now also wanting the Delphi murder suspects' attorneys held in contempt. Can you explain that a little bit where here we go again. It's just like the two sides battling about everything but the case itself.
Oh, totally. Yeah, there's a ton of squabbling between the parties and their attorneys. And the prosecutor contempt is usually when one side has knowingly defied a legal order or something like that. And so the prosecution is just kind of laying it on and trying to score some points on their side. But I think the defense motion has at least some merit. The judge did a weird thing by sort of summarily dismissing the defense attorneys. Now they're reinstated back on the case, and they're saying, "Hey, you shouldn't have kicked us off. That was unfavorable to the defendant. There wasn't good grounds for that." So I think the defense's motion has at least some colorable merit.
Is Gull on a mission here again to try and get them off the case? I mean, because that it kind of feels like that already. I don't know. I mean, it's like a we hate you, I hate you more. No, we hate you the mostest. No, we hate you the morest. And it's like, okay, we get it. Nobody likes each other here, and along this whole line, people have really varying views on each other. But again, we're not at the merits of the case. Is that what we're seeing, or is Gull again saying, "I'm not going anywhere. You're going somewhere"? And ultimately, I mean, she does have more power. Are we going to see Baldwin and Rozzi kicked off this case again?
A second dismissal of the defense attorneys against their will and against the client's will, for me, would be unheard of. I've never heard of such a thing. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen in an actual case where the judge kicked off defense attorneys because the judge thought they shouldn't be on the case. It is almost always the client's right to decide who represents them. And Richard Allen wants these attorneys, is my understanding. And so, really, a strange turn of events, and we're not even to the even stranger merits of the case that'll come out of trial.
I mean, at the end of the day, he has essentially a get a new trial free card. I think. Uh, why don't we just get on with this? Is this really just everyone trying to save face and not be, wrong? Is that what we're dealing with here, especially with Gull?
It would just be me speculating,
Mhm.
but it just seems like there are some personality issues that could be at play. Listen, in these jurisdictions, the attorneys know each other, the defense attorneys know the prosecutors know the judge, there's a lot of intermingling.
Mhm.
And I can't help but wonder if there is sort of some under the surface hostility or distrust or something bizarre going on that probably shouldn't be creeping in to the criminal justice system. I don't know that for sure, but that's just a thought that came to mind.
It's, I think, a valid question to ask, and certainly something at this point to speculate on, considering how none of this seems to be making a whole lot of sense at this juncture. But that's how it's been so far. Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks